Okay, hey everybody, welcome. We are here talking about the Tao Te Ching. I'm moving on to chapter 9, The Danger of Extremes. Now, the title that I chose for this, The Danger of Extremes, really it takes a lot of liberties. So please take that into consideration. But I'm going to talk a little bit at the end about what those extremes really are. We'll get right into this and read it, and then we'll start talking a little bit more about what those extremes refer to. Having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. Focus your attention on money and lose sight of what is valuable. Keep in mind outside influence, and you will be its prisoner. Do what you do and move on. It isn't yours anyway. Okay, so that's the text. That's it. It's pretty simple. But what we have here is we start with this idea of having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. Focus your attention on money and external things and lose sight of what is valuable. Keep in mind outside influence. Once again, this idea of anything outside of you, and you will be its prisoner. These are the extremes. The extremes are you're getting outside of yourself, the extreme of having to prove yourself. Now, how many of us have lived a life trying to prove ourselves? Right? In school, we try to prove ourselves through our grades. In work, we try to prove ourselves through our financial, dealings. And if we're entrepreneurs, we try and prove ourselves by clients. If we try and prove who we are, we want to be right. Going out there being right, that's an extreme. It's extreme to be asking to be right. There is no right. There never has been. And when we lean into this idea that there's a right and there's a wrong, and this is the way I want to do it, and because I want to do it this way, like that's the way it is. I was on a walk today thinking about free will. And free will, you do have free will. You have free will to surrender to Tao or resist Tao. You have free will to tell stories about what's happening and what's going on. And that's resistance to what is. All of those stories, that's an extreme. When you have a story, well, if I don't do this, this is going to happen. Story, that's an extreme. There's danger in that. In the end of all of this, like it may seem pretty innocuous. These like having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. Well, what does that mean? That means as soon as you want to prove yourself, you will be proven wrong at some point. Right? Like you're putting yourself in the position of having to prove yourself. There's danger in that because you're opening yourself up to challenge. There is no challenge in life. There is no challenge in this existence. You've created that as a story through your free will in your mind, and you could very easily fall to that. And that's fine if that's what you prefer to do, but you don't have to. Having to prove yourself will only allow challenges to best you. Well, not only. You will best some challenges along the way, but you will allow challenges to best you. That's the only way to allow yourself to be bested, is by having to prove yourself. Focus your attention on money and lose sight of what is valuable. Right? These are self-explanatory, but that's an extreme when you focus all of your attention on this money. Right? When you focus all of your attention on a return on your investment and all of these things. Keep in mind outside influence, and you'll be its prisoner. It's another extreme. If you're constantly thinking, oh, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a content creator, I want to do all these things, I want to be internet famous, all of that stuff, like extreme. Like shut it down. Like sit on your ass and do nothing for a minute and see what that feels like. That's your reality. So in the end here, it says, do what you do and move on. It isn't yours anyway. I hope that that's what I'm doing with these chapters of the Tao, talking about them. I'm just doing what I do. I didn't actually start it with any plan for anything. I just said, oh, I'm going to do this thing. And I made it easier on myself by making them live. So now they just go live and then they're posted right away. I don't have to do any extra steps. It's just do what I do and move on. I don't have to sit here and follow them. And if I catch wind of a comment, I'll like it, or I'll follow it, or I'll comment on it. But other than that, it's just here doing what it does. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to be right about. I just want it to be here, and I want to do it. And that's simple. So do what you do and move on. It isn't yours anyway. I don't have anything to to be proud of here. There's nothing for me to be proud of. There's nothing for me to be excited about. It's just what I'm doing. Like I could be doing this, or I could be sitting in my rocking chair looking out the window. Either way, it's the same. It's all the same. Doesn't mean anything. It's just my experience. Doesn't mean anything to the world. I am playing my part. I am in collaboration. It's all one thing. And I'm doing whatever I'm doing. It's not mine. It's happening through me, and I get to experience it. That's all. It's fairly simple. Thank you so much for joining me for another chapter of the Tao. That was chapter 9, The Danger of Extremes. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.